Several of Hugo Haas's films end with him delivering a jokey line to the audience, winking at them not to take any of it seriously, as if there was any chance of it with this plot and these performances. And I wasn't kidding when I noted earlier the script's similarities to The Postman Always Rings Twice. The statuesque lion tamer, played by pinup model Dolores Reed, was taken straight from James M. Cain's 1934 novel. Audrey Totter played her in the 1946 film, minus the circus, and Angelica Houston played her with cats in the 1981 version. Dolores Reed had only one other feature film role as an Amazonian alien in 1962's Invasion of the Star Creatures. Reed's life was the real noir story. Her husband was busted in 1962 for robbing an armored car, and Reed died the following year of a morphine overdose. Hit and Run was the final film of Cleo Moore's career. Over the previous 5 years, she had starred in 9 pictures, 7 of them Hugo Haas productions. In all but one, he was her co-star. If Cleo's performance seemed a little lethargic, maybe it's because she'd played the same character in every one. Moore always joked that after retiring from the picture business, she'd return to her native Louisiana and run for governor. Instead, she married real estate tycoon Herbert Hefler and lived the rest of her life on his sprawling estate in Beverly Hills. Unfortunately, the rest of her life turned out to be brief. Moore died in her sleep at only 43 years of age. Like an actress who gets typecast, Hugo Haas found out that once he'd scored a hit with his triangle melodramas, it was hard to get funding for anything else. Near the end of the decade, he wrote to a friend back in Czechoslovakia, "I've had many plans, but everything has been screwed up. Films today are made only for morons and 14-year-old children, either fantasies about the moon and planets, detective rubbish, or films about the boogeyman. That's not a joke," he said. "It's a fact." Hugo, some things never change. Yet, following the release of Hit and Run, Haas was given a prestige project to direct, a non-sensationalized drama of clinical personality disorder called Lizzie, starring 3-time Oscar nominee Eleanor Parker. This wasn't a Hugo Haas does-it-all production. It was made by Kirk Douglas's Bryna Productions, based on a popular novel by Shirley Jackson. Haas gave it his best, eliminating the winks and nudges of his low-budget affairs, but the film was a box office failure, completely overshadowed by The Three Faces of Eve, which would win Joanne Woodward a Best Actress Oscar. Haas directed a cast of well-known actors, including Julie London and Nat King Cole, in 1959's Night of the Quarter Moon, a provocative story of interracial marriage distributed by MGM that was 8 years ahead of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. It was not well received, and after suffering disappointments with 2 more independently made pictures, Haas moved to Vienna, where he died in 1968. It's easy to mock Hugo Haas's films and his predilection for casting himself opposite women a fraction of his age, but I admire the guy for finding a way to make movies in a foreign country in a second language and on his own terms, at a time when the average budget for a Hollywood film was $1.5 million and no one started shooting without a distribution deal in place. Haas made pictures for less than $100,000 and only sold the movies after they were finished, so no studios or investors could meddle in their creation. Using his own dough, Haas produced 12 films in just over 10 years, most of which turned a tidy profit. No masterpieces, that's for sure, but the man did leave a small, indelible mark on movie history. Next week, I'll be back with another triangle story, one bearing a slightly higher pedigree. It's a foreign film. Don't panic, you subtitle haters. It's from England. The always amusing Robert Newton plays a cuckolded husband plotting diabolical revenge in the 1949 film Obsession, also known as The Hidden Room. It's both suspenseful and mordantly funny, always a good combo in my book. I'm sure many of you need no further prompting from me to report what you thought of Hit and Run. on the Noir Alley Facebook page and Twitter feed. So until next week, see you in the shadows.